Hey, everybody, I am Tommy, and you are on the lifeboat. Hey, Diane, Mischief Manager, good to see you. Charlie Mullins, what's happening, my friend? Demon, good to see you. Life is a dream, a minute. Is that what that says? Something along those lines. So I'm happy to have you here. Sweet Liberty, good to see you. Hey, Diane, how are you? You know what? This one's going to annoy some people. This one annoys me. But we're gonna talk about some stuff. Just Joan, good to see you. Sweet Liberty, how are you? Gamer Jackie, what's happening? DD Razzle Dazzle, good to see you. Lynn Sanity's here. Franklin MC, good to have you. This is going to be one of those, hey Shannon Smith, that's going to bother some people because it seems like maybe they're not getting enough done. DD Razzle Dazzle, good to see you. See, this is one of those unusual cases. Sorry, people. Hey, Gamer Jackie, it's been a hell of a day. Really has. Anna, good to see you. Peanut, how are you? Hey, Lumen. Hey, Mary Barons. Oni, glad you're here. Anna is here. Jane Aldrich is here. West Coast Fancy Nancy. Snake, good to see you. So they kicked the door in a long time ago, back in March 25th, I think. Wow, that's a long time, right? And since that time, everybody's kind of been doing their own little private investigative work online because true crime people do that. Krista Melinda, good to see you. Yarn Prepper, what's happening? Shannon Young. And let's be honest, you got to weed through a lot of BS, don't you? You got to weed through a lot of BS. Char B, good to see you. Hazel Storm. Noel, good to see you. Mischief Managed. If you notice, you'll find that there are some clickbait videos out there. And, you know, you think you're going to see, they promise you the world, right? New video of Justin Bieber doing that. And then you'll go and check another video on a different channel, and it's the exact same video in the exact same order. This is going to be a moneymaker for a lot of automated channels. You know, if you hear a voice and the voice sounds just a little too perfect, and it might be a computer, you're probably just listening to BS. Swedish Lena, how are you? Gary McKay, good to see you. These are going to be channels that are going to be gone soon. Marion Calabro, how are you? Blast from the Past, good to see you. Hey, Doc. Seriously, these are channels that pop up. Look at the number of subscribers. With a lot of them, these are channels that just pop up that are going to make money on this, and they're going to be gone just as quick because they're making claims that are absolutely ridiculous. Kiwi Nan, good to see you. Video hasn't popped up of 90% of the stuff out there that they're saying there's video out there. There isn't. Well, thank you, Betty Olson. What a kind thing to say. Betty Olson says, that's why we come to you. Hey, Christy Hughes, good to see you. So where are all of the underage victims? Right? Kathy, good to see you. Glad that you're here. Hey, Helena Flock of Swan Boats. Glad you're here, hon. Good to see you. Coach Lisa, where are all of the underage victims? Because I'll tell you something. Those of us that have been doing deep dives on this thing since the door got kicked in or longer, right? If we started playing with this case even before all of that broke, there's been a ton of images, right? If you go and look at pictures from freak-offs, if you look at pictures from Diddy parties, you don't have to be a private investigator to realize that you're looking at a ton of people who are dancing right at that underage mark. And then there are some people that you look at and you just go, ain't no way in hell this girl's 18. There's no way in hell this girl's 18. So we also know about Diddy and some uncomfortable stuff that, whether it's true or not, there's a lot of smoke there, right? There's a whole lot of smoke there. We got Gene Deal, the bodyguard of Diddy, who comes out and says that they had to take Usher to a hospital at some point while he was under the tutelage, right? That's a term we're going to hear a bunch too. Mentorship. It's a term you're going to hear a bunch. While all under the mentorship of Diddy, he had to go to the hospital. And Jaguar Wright, believe her or don't, right? She's kind of iconoclastic. She's over the top, and she really she's got a hell of a delivery. A lot of F-bombs, a lot of cursing. But she said that man went there because they injured his backside. It's not exactly how she said it, but that is the gist of it, to be sure. Wait a second. Where's my kitty camera? Hold on a second. I know that I had the kitty camera set up here. There it is. And what do we got there? Look at that. It's Squirrel Nut Zip Zip. Let me get her up in the top screen there, people, and then we'll get to work. Well, look at that. And And there we go. And there we go. Look at that. See that? And that was without Spanx Calhoun. And they said it couldn't be done. Yeah, the squirrel cam is back in business. Squirrel Nut Zipper has been pulling a lot of double duty. She's a very hard worker. So where are all of the underage victims? We know about this this supposed tutelage that happened with Usher, and Usher is keeping a real tight lip about this. And you know what? Why wouldn't he? You know, I got people to send me emails that say, if Usher was a victim, he'd talk about it. And for what benefit? Honestly, where's the benefit in Usher coming out and saying that he's had a relationship that may have started off as being victimized, but has lasted a really long time since? I don't think that's in his best interest as an entertainer. I really don't, especially because no matter how much we've evolved, it might be 2024, but I promise you there's still a lot of homophobic people out there that are going to just go off. And the proof of that is the amount of coverage we got on Diddy in the beginning about just the fact that the dude's gay. Who cares? Honestly, of all of the stuff Diddy's got going on, who cares if he likes dudes? That really is at the bottom of the totem pole, but that's the world we live in, right? And I don't think that Usher would come forward for that reason. I had somebody leave me a message that said Usher did not turn over Bieber to Diddy. Of course he did. I'm sorry. Of course he did. Watch the videos. What does Diddy say? Well, he didn't sign with me. He signed with Usher, right? But I got him for a couple of days. There were a lot of other people involved in this. Scooter Braun. There's enough blood on people's hands when this is all said and done. The number of people who seem to be involved in mentorship, right? For Usher, it was called Flavor Camp. But the idea is that you're sending underage stars and celebrities to be mentored by people, and this is something that the Smiths, right, were involved in doing, taking underage people in and helping them out, right, by mom sleeping with the kid or dad sleeping with the kid. I mean, that family's about as weird as anything out there. And their son has made some really odd videos talking about his dad and Diddy, and talking about how he kind of got handed over to Diddy by his mother. These now look, people are denying all of this stuff, right? This stuff's allegedly, but there's so much of it out there. Look, man, when there's that much smoke, there's usually fire. And who does this dude hang out with? Look at the group of friends that he kicks it with. When Will Smith, and somebody else pointed this out to me because honestly, I completely spaced this. But when Will Smith went up on stage and smacked Chris Rock in the face, who went up there to try to settle everything down? Diddy. Diddy was the dude up there trying to smooth it all over. Witchy Trista, thank you so much. Looking good in green. That was the play, right? Why was Diddy the first person up there trying to do that? Well, I mean, there's a lot going on here, man. There really is a lot going on here. Start looking at the people who they kick it with, who they hang out with. Because Jay-Z, Diddy has said on film that the only person other than his mother on earth that can call him by his government name, I assume that's Sean Combs, is Sean Carter. Jay-Z is the only person other than his mother. That is his homeboy. That's his ace deuce. That's his best friend. Or at least it was until the doors got kicked in. And then you all saw the meme that 50 Cent did with a milk carton that had Jay-Z's face on it. Because apparently he couldn't get Jay-Z on the phone. Can't say I blame him. But Jay-Z has been accused of a lot of the same kind of stuff. And I'll tell you, the buzzword right now is the name Aaliyah. And all of the stuff about her and about her death. Allegedly, right? We need a tune. I should be able to hit a button and have it just go, allegedly. Hanging with Mr. Ray Ray. Good to see you. Allegedly, she didn't want to get on that plane, right? She didn't want to get on that plane. So much so that they drugged her to put her on that plane. And she had expressed the fact that she thought that plane wasn't safe. Wilfred Harry, good to see you. It's just a lot of stuff. Did I say Kristen Melinda? Good to see you, Kristen Melinda. There's just way too much smoke everywhere you look. Right? For real. But let's get back to Aaliyah. Because Aaliyah was married to R. Kelly. Right? By the way, they put this on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine. It wasn't like they got married in secrecy. He was 15 when she married him. I'm going to say that one more time. She was 15 when she married him. Now, the age of consent there, that's going to be an issue, I think, just about anywhere on planet Earth. There may be a few states, but she did it by using a fake ID. But everybody knew. Nobody didn't know. And the word is that Rihanna was flown to the U.S., again, allegedly, was flown to the U.S. at 15 and ended up in Sean Carter's office. And the following day, her old man was getting a check for $500,000. Her old man, being her father, was getting a check for $500,000. That sounds kind of transactional to me and a little bit frightening. Kimroy, good to see you. Darcy, what's happening? But anyway, you shake it. It's a kid getting put on a plane and flown across the country without her, or across the world without her parents there. That's a frightening thing. Jay-Z also went on the Charlie Rose show. And when Charlie Rose said, how old was, how long have you been with Beyonce? He put it at her being 16 years of age. Now, he said, we didn't get busy, We didn't get busy until she was above the age of 18, because what's he going to say? I started doing it when she was 16. I don't think that's going to come out at the Charlie Rose interview. But what he claimed was that, they may have gotten together at 16, but they weren't intimate at 16. That's a lot of smoke, man. Once again, we need to really, and I do mean really, actually, this isn't coffee, it's lemonade. We need to really start looking at how is it that we're not seeing names like Jane Doe or we're not hearing in the indictment that this involves underage kids. Of the 10 lawsuits that Diddy was facing when the doors or when he got thrown into the detention center here in Manhattan, at that point, there was already an awful lot of speculation, right? Concerning the amount of time this cat has spent with people under the age of 18. One of the lawsuits involves a girl from Michigan. And this girl was flown to New York, brought to a studio at the age of 17, and gang assaulted. You understand what I mean by that? Now, again, vehemently denied, but it's funny that you have to keep saying that kind of stuff. V. McWilliams, Witchy Trista, good to see you. Obviously, he's going to deny it. Kestrel 42, what's happening? But I think we're going to see a real disservice done if this ends up just being a bunch of charges that don't really tap into a systemic problem that seems a part of Hollywood, right? A part of the television, the movies, any kind of entertainment at all, where there is the potential for a child to be abused. They're being abused. With everything that came out in the last couple of years about Nickelodeon and the books and the documentaries and the docuseries and all of the YouTubers who have channels that talk about that. He'll have no fury. Good to see you. This is frightening that somehow this Diddy case could go on and be prosecuted without the facts, because I don't think anybody who watches this, correct. I mean, if I'm wrong, feel free to tell me you think I'm wrong, but do you not think that there are kids involved in this? Russell Simmons is another name that comes up a lot. And if you've followed Russell Simmons throughout his career, this is a relative of the guys from Run DMC. And he became a powerhouse in the entertainment industry. And then he also branched out into a lot of other kind of entrepreneurship stuff. He's done tons and tons of stuff. He's also been accused of the R word by 3 women who I watched the interview, man. God help us. If they're not telling the truth, then they should all get Academy Awards, because it's pretty damn convincing. Mischief Managed, good to see you. Robert Hall, Betty Olson, how are you? And of course, hey, Wharton Fissel vehemently denies, all of this stuff again gets vehemently denied. His daughter, Russell Simmons' daughter, made a series of videos on Instagram. One of them might be on TikTok. Disturbing as hell, talking about her dad. His the last woman he was married to has made some videos. This guy likes really young girls. allegedly. According to his family, this guy really likes underage girls. This is a recurring theme with these lowlives. And now we're popping the head of this thing, right? We're cutting the head of this snake off, and somehow there's no mention of that. That to me is a little bit distressing. Milwaukee, Maine, good to see you. Thank you so much. I would like this is sad. I honestly feel like the world still doesn't care much about the type of women and children, about the lives, sorry, of women and children. That's why the Scientologists continue to get away with abusing children under the false guise of religion. Well, I think you're probably right on this. I also think that there is another religion in this country that is just as sick and disgusting, maybe more, in a lot of ways, and that is the cult of fame, right? The cult of personality and fame in our country. We don't we don't have royalty like like our cousins across the pond, but we're so much worse, right? Because our royalty may get royal for rhyming things, to music, or they might get royal by throwing a ball through a metal hoop, right? Or tossing touchdown passes, or being able to play whatever sport they play well. That's a disturbing thing in society, in my opinion, and we could do about 500 hours on that. But the fact, again, that this seems to be I understand that the feds wanted to make this thing really vague. And I'll tell you, here's a theory that I'm praying. I'm right on this. When they kicked the doors in on his and served, let me put it this way, when they served the search warrants on the two properties that Diddy owned, a lot of people started to say, now the feds aren't charging him. They already went in there. And I said at the time, I think that they're giving the guy enough rope to hang himself with. I think they would like to see who he calls. Like 56 calls to one person and text messages saying, hey, man, that's consensual, right? We're going to take care of you. Make sure that, he was actively trying to intimidate or to coerce or whatever witnesses, right? This isn't speculation or allegedly. This was brought up in court by the judge and by the prosecution. So this is something that's a fact that he was doing. This is a low-life move that this cat does. He's a dangerous individual as far as that goes. It's gonna. So this may be another case of. Right now, they have shaken the crap out of the trees, right? As we talked about last night, KK, his assistant, has not been charged. There's nobody on earth that doesn't think that person is so intimately involved in this. Why haven't they been charged? Well, perhaps the reason that a lot of the people that we think are really complicit haven't been charged because they're already working with the federal government to provide testimony against Sean Combs for a reduced sentence. I think that's very realistic, and we wouldn't necessarily know that as they started to talk about these indictments. This could, Sean's indictments. This is going to happen further down the road, and I think that's a distinct possibility. But I think that if we don't hear about underage kids, then something is there's something wrong. I understand you got to take your best case in there. I was sent a copy of the book that was purportedly written by taking the journal entries, right, from Diddy's ex and Kim Porter and putting them all together. I had a chance to read that. It's not a long read. You can knock it out really, really quickly. That book, right? You either believe that book is real or you don't believe that book is real. Suspension of disbelief. If you can for a moment say, you know what, I think that book might be real, then the relationship between Sean Combs and Justin Bieber is absolutely unhealthy. I think most people know that. But according to Kim Porter, she saw videos of how unhealthy it is. You also got to realize that everything this cat's done for the last 2 or 3 decades, he's been videotaping all of it, right? And the feds went in there and grabbed all of that stuff. So I have a feeling that it may be a case that we're going to see this at a later date. Tommy, these performers and moguls are literally the kings and queens of their world. That's why they get away with so much crap. Money talks. Yeah, I think that there's a big part of that, right? Hey, Pat, good to see you. Brenda, glad you're here. Rick, good to see you. And Zenlo. Zenlo asks, what about rumors Diddy is an informant? Diddy is rumored to be an informant by multiple people. Now, whether or not, I was on Surviving the Survivor, and I was on with an FBI agent who has handled people like that, confidential informants, rats, whatever you want to call them, that, that wear wires or do whatever. I thought it was interesting to see the clip of film of Diddy talking to Justin Bieber as he's getting out of an SUV. And he goes up and he's got his hand on his chest, like he's talking to him, and he's going like this, up, down, like he's covering anywhere to see if there was a wire taped to the kid's chest. If he wasn't, it's just the strangest hello you've ever seen in your life, right? But according to Gene Deal, the previous bodyguard, he said he used to drop him off at the FBI building with paperwork. He'd go running inside and he'd come out without that paperwork. That doesn't sound good. This was about the time that Shine Barrow was getting sent up. The way that went down, the fact that Diddy didn't get in any trouble for that, yeah, maybe he is, right? Maybe he is a rat. There's a lot of people that swear it. There's a lot of people that swear it. And this would not be new, right? This is a Whitey Bulger kind of a situation. You're building an empire and you got an opportunity to rat on people that aren't in your empire, right? I mean, he had an entire group of people that were competing with him trying to build their own empire. If you could rat on those people, well, hell's bells, right? You get the FBI off your back. You hurt your enemy. I mean, if that's the game, then it makes sense, right? And welcome to the boat. Oh yeah. And I'll tell you something, Jay Rambo. Thank you for wording that the way you did. This is the shocker. You understand? This is the shocker. If you've recorded everything for the last 20 years, then everyone's a liar. Or he's got underage content. And probably a lot of it. Now, a logical person might say, he probably at least would have been smart enough to separate for his library of filth, right? The underage from the other. And maybe that's the case. But I also don't think that they've gone through everything yet. I mean, how could you? I was thinking about this logically the other day. The lifeboat, with the amount of content that we've put up, if you had to watch it all at once, it would take you about a year. Right? It would take you a really long time. I think it's actually a couple of months you could do it in, but there's a lot of content. Imagine if I filmed everything in the friggin' house and have for the last 20 years. You know how much crap they got to go through? Now, maybe Diddy deleted all of the stuff that wasn't boring, but we don't know, right? Maybe literally everything. Maybe you got dead air for hours on end before you get to stuff. But the number of people that they're going to have to put on this to watch every single one of those videos is staggering. But they'll do it. I promise you. I was in a county jail and I was engaged to the attorney that was representing me, which is probably not cool, right? In fact, it isn't cool from a legal standpoint. It's kind of an issue. And while all that was going on, she and I were having conversations back and forth with one another. And they listened to every single conversation that we had. And when we looked at how much time it was, you were literally having to put people on a 40-hour work week, listening to nothing but our phone calls. And you probably had to do that for 2 or 3 weeks. It's amazing what the feds will do with an unlimited budget. This isn't a state case. I don't think you guys can imagine how much different this is than a state case where you don't have the resources at your disposal, right? You might have some cops that can go out and make some inquiries or whatever, or an investigator that's going to go out, and they got the FBI, right? They've got the Department of Homeland Security. Department of Homeland Security is involved in this because of the H trafficking. You can't say H trafficking on here anymore either. Good God, man. It's like, how can you not talk? So many of the subject matters that we have to bring up, they don't want us talking about. That's a great comment. Usher's mom is supposedly going to testify for Diddy. I hope she gets her own Versace purse. Well, I'll tell you something, people. This is something you got to think about, right? Here's a little tidbit that I hope everyone else has caught. Do you think the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security and everybody else aren't perusing social media? Do you think that they've seen the clips of Gene Deal talking about Usher being brought to the emergency room and he knows exactly why he was brought there? He isn't going to say it. They're not going to put up with that. I promise you, the federal government's going to go, I'm sorry, you know about an underage boy being brought to an emergency room because of an injury to his rectum? There's no chance the feds are going to go, we don't need to subpoena you on that. With all of the stuff of people like Jaguar Wright or people like Gene Deal or his other bodyguard, all of these individuals. What's the name of the guy? Dash, the guy that dated Aaliyah. All of these people that are talking trash on all of these platforms. All of these people that are that have done interviews on Club Shay Shay or any of these other huge platforms. I promise you, they've got officers who are just looking at those videos. Stacey Allen, good to see you. That's an absolute fact. Thank you, Robert Hall. Robert Hall is turning people green. He's tossing out the hot sauce packets. Did he knew he'd get caught at some point? Why keep evidence? Sure, I was doing XYZ, but look at who else was there. I'll tell you why. This is a really great question, right? If you knew you were going to get caught at some point, why would you keep the evidence? Okay, well, I think right around the time that he knew he was going to get caught, they kicked both doors in. I think they had been watching Sean Combs, who he was talking to, all of those things. I think that they probably had at least one person who was a mole on the inside. I'd be willing to bet anything that there was somebody that was already giving them evidence on the inside. But I think they kicked the doors in on both of those spots because Diddy probably uttered the word destroy evidence, right? There's a reason they picked that day, and there's a reason that they smashed in both doors at the same time. That's always to preserve evidence. That's to keep House 1 from calling House 2 to say we just got raided, right? Here's the other thing. This is his currency, right? This guy didn't become a billionaire, according to the federal government, and I'm gonna stick with the federal government on this theory. But he didn't just become a billionaire by writing really great rhymes or being a great fashion designer or blah blah blah. He got rich by videotaping people in compromising positions and then using that as blackmail to get what he wanted in business deals. That's what is alleged by the government. This was a business model. This was a recurring criminal operation, a recurring, a racketeering influenced corrupt crime organization. This puppy here was designed not just for the purpose of this guy's freak offs being fun. It was to record people in these freak offs who were very often not willing participants. There are people out there rubbing 6 brain cells together that keep sending me emails going, everybody there was a willing participant. When you're drugged, you're not a willing participant. If half of the bottles there are designed for the women and the other half are designed for the men, or vice versa for that friggin' matter, or whatever, that's not consent, right? Consent means I'm not wasted, right? For starters. And you can't hold something over the top of someone's head. You understand this? I'm not being funny. For those out there that may not understand these concepts, if you say to somebody, would you be willing to do this to me if I were to give you a record contract? That's not consensual, even if she says yes. The fact that she had an option to say yes or no does not make that consent. And I know that that's a hard thing for some guys to process because I'm getting about 20 emails a day from morons who think that this is consent. But it's not, I promise you. I think Damon Dash and Cat Williams won't mind being questioned. 50 Cent too. If they haven't already been talking to the feds in some capacity already, they do not like Diddy. This is a very strange thing, right? This is a very strange thing, and I'll tell you why. Because no one really knows. So the term rat is a really big deal in in prison, obviously, right? People aren't fond of people who they think tell on individuals, which is really funny because, like, in in most prisons now, if you look at the number, about 80% of people are cutting deals, right? The days where guys soldiered up and don't talk and don't say anything are literally in the past, right? I think the best you can hope for now is that somebody doesn't rat on their friends or their family, because most people, when that ship starts sinking, they're willing to turn in just about anybody to stop it. Nat B from Canada, good to see you. Sad but true. But the question is going to be, are these guys going to be really happy to go down and talk to the feds because of what it does to street cred and things of that nature? Now, regardless, you can say, I don't want to talk to them, and you're still going to end up down there. And then, you know, they can, there are things they can do. You're treated like a hostile witness or whatever. I think that there are, it's going to be interesting to see how that goes down. Hold on one sec. Yeah, you know what? This is interesting. And someone said this to me the other day, the 6 degrees of Diddy. Someone actually said that to me the other day. If you're familiar with the concept of the game, the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, you try to link Kevin Bacon to every other star in the world via any 6 films or whatever. The 6 degrees of separation with Diddy is really going to be interesting. And again, here's something. This is my public service announcement of the Lifeboat. Cat C, good to see you. Gemini girl, what's happening? This is a public service announcement. Everybody pay attention. Because somebody went to a Diddy party doesn't make them a, a rapo. It doesn't. It doesn't necessarily make them a good person either. But this was at a time when being seen at these parties was a big deal. And I know that there were people who probably went to those parties, walked in the first time and went, holy crap, I'm never going back to anything like this ever again. But when it's all said and done, there's not going to be anybody that they're not going to be able to put at one of these parties. If not a freak off or one of his white parties or black and white parties or whatever the hell they call them. His birthday parties had a lot of really famous people show up at them. A lot of really famous people showed up at Diddy's birthdays. And why not? I mean, honestly, I think I was on Cricket's channel earlier, and they were asking a question of the audience: would you have gone to a Diddy party? I would have. I absolutely would have. And I'm saying that, trying to put my mindset today, but in the 90s, forget about it. I mean, in the 90s, I would have been there not looking for women. I would have been looking for drugs. I would have been walking in going, holy hell, let's see the drug stash at this party, right? Because you had to know, by all accounts, this Dash said this, there's a lot of people, right, that are alleging that both Sean Carter and Sean Combs control the women in their life by getting them addicted to opioids. How's that? If that turns out to be true, Kathy Ann, good to see you. If that turns out to be true, then these cats need to spend the rest of their life in prison, every single one of them, and they need to do it in a really crappy yard, right? Maybe send them to Lewisburg. Maybe send them to Victorville. Because that is the sickest thing in the entire world. That's rape of the mind, right? To get somebody addicted to a substance so you could control them should carry the death penalty. I'm sorry. Not sorry. Little Mink, good to see you. That's really disgusting. And the word is allegedly that Miss Knowles is strung out. And I've seen some clips of film of hers where she looks like she's rolling, right? I've seen clips of film where she absolutely looks like she is under the influence of a heavy opioid. That's my professional drug addict opinion. I'm not a doctor. I don't play one, but I spent a whole lot of time sticking needles in my arms. And I've seen a lot of video of that girl where she does not look right anymore. And that's sad. Really, really sad. Yeah, C says Beyonce looks unrecognizable. And I think that you're probably not from when you were a kid. Yeah. I think you're probably not the only person that would say that. It's there are too many. Did you guys ever see the name of the album, right? The name of the album that Aaliyah did that was produced or whatever by R. Kelly. He did the album with her. The name of the album, right? The name of the album is age is just a number. These people were doing what they were doing and waving it in the faces of everybody on planet Earth as if to say, yeah, strung out is the right term, Stacey Allen. The strung out is definitely the term when people need the substance in order to perform. And I mean perform, getting up in the morning, walking around, eating. I don't mean going on stage and doing all that, although obviously they would need it for that. But to the point where you're so strung out that without it you can't make it. It's pretty. Kat says, I wonder what Solange is up to nowadays. Interesting. Age ain't nothing but a number. Thank you, cup of coffee. Age ain't nothing but a number. That's disturbing, right? That's disturbing. They're literally throwing this in the face of every single person that's watching as if to say, we're going to do whatever we want. We're going to do whatever we want. Yadira, good to see you. This has been coming to a head, right? The wheels in motion in this were set supposedly in 2016. This investigation started. But it seems like the Me Too movement missed hip hop, doesn't it? Honestly, and I'm asking this as a legit question. I was incarcerated. I was not on the street for the Me Too movement, so there's a decent amount of it that I literally saw none of. But it seems to me that they picked a lot of people off, but they missed an industry that seems to be built on this, right? It seems to be built on this. There's some of the things that have gone on at these parties vis-a-vis men on men, vis-a-vis Sean Combs forcing younger artists or up-and-coming artists into physical relationships with other men have been described as ritualistic. Not just going to go in there and hit dude in the seat. You're going to make some kind of a friggin' show about this, and actually it becomes it has been described as bordering on satanic by people that have watched some of the stuff that has gone on there. I think that they went out of their way to really turn this into a sex cult, and I think that the inner circle are a lot of guys that they used to call on the down low, right? These were guys that got together and had sex, but had families and kids and all of that. It's 2024, and if you want to be gay, you know what? Now is probably the time to do it, right? There's probably not been too many times on planet Earth where you are going to be more accepted for whatever lifestyle that you live than you would be in 2024. So if that's you, maybe it's time to come out of the closet, admit you like the company of men, and then testify against this loser for forcing you into doing the things that you did. Because if it's the embarrassment or the stigma that is keeping people from coming forward, then that's sad. Jamie Foxx, golly. Here's the thing, people. How many times do people around Diddy get really sick for really weird reasons, right? I know that this can all be coincidence. It really can. It could all be coincidence. But man, when there's that much smoke, right? I think you got to start saying there's fire somewhere, man. Interesting. Yeah, that's what I was saying at the start of this show, Kestrel. Aaliyah was drugged to the gills when her entourage forced her into that small plane that crashed. The NTSB report makes it clear the people around celebrities are often awful. Boy, there's a lot of smoke. Once again, there's an awful lot of smoke concerning this plane crash. There really is. The plane was deemed unsafe, right? She called her boyfriend and said she didn't want to get on that plane. He said, don't. So they doped her until she was so looped up. This is allegedly. They doped her until she was so loopy that they could put her on the plane to ship her off. And then, of course, the plane goes down. And this paved the way for an up-and-coming star, right? The next young sensation, Beyonce. By all accounts, Aaliyah probably was had the potential to be as big, if not, way bigger. Do I think they will throw the book? There's no way he gets away with this. A jury of his peers is going to find him guilty. I promise you that's going to happen, and he's going to get a lot of time. He is. He might even get life. There's an excellent chance he's going to get life. We saw the superseding indictments. There can be a lot of other stuff that they end up tacking onto this. This is not, again, it doesn't mean we're not going to see underage people. And I don't know how this case gets prosecuted if we don't see underage victims. I'm really going to be astonished. But on top of that, how are you going to get away with having 3 guns with obliterated serial numbers? If those charges don't get put into that indictment, that's a problem. It may not be for the rest of the world. The rest of the world might go, you know what? What difference does it make? If he's got all of these things, because that's a lock. You can't beat that charge. They're in your house. You're a felon. That's 912, right? USC 912, felon in possession of a firearm. 924C is the more dangerous one of those charges. And that's what he's facing because he has 3 obliterated serial numbers and a drum magazine that holds 50. That dude's looking at 25 years on that. If that doesn't get added to this, it's going to make me mad because I face those charges. The difference between me and him is I didn't have 1 obliterated serial number. So my time was less, right? About half of what he'd be looking at. But he needs to be charged with that. And the reason he needs to be charged with that is I was, right? I was charged with it. He should be charged with it. Anybody who breaks that law should be charged with it. There's nobody that should get a pass, right? There were also 6 other guns in the house that they said were legitimately purchased. A felon can't have a legitimately purchased firearm. I don't know how to break that to you. All of those guns, that's 6 more charges of felon in possession of a firearm because it doesn't make a sweet bit of difference how you acquire the weapon. You can't own one. He also could be charged for any other equipment that wasn't attached to a weapon. If they said there were bags of stuff in there, he needs to be charged with that. I'm sorry, tack it on. I don't care if he gets 2 life sentences and 25 years. If you charge me with it, he needs to be charged with it. I guess the difference between the 2 of us is he also got a bail hearing. I didn't get 1 bail hearing, not much, much less 2 of them. The feds don't have a bail system. Don't let them fool you, right? Some states have a bail system, which means they have to put up a bail for you, right? Or at least in most cases, unless it's really severe threat to society or whatever, flight risk, then you have to be afforded. That's not that way in the feds. Each judge can go, no, I'm not letting you out on bail. And there's no real way to argue that. Question. Sorry to be off topic. I know Dilaudid is strong. 1 milligram every 4 hours. A lot after back surgery, in your opinion. Doesn't feel like it. I'm going to preface this by saying I'm not a doctor. I'm a drug addict. I've done a lot of Dilaudid. That would be hydromorphone, right? And it is a super, super strong painkiller. It is normally not given out 1 milligram. I've never seen it that way. Normally, it's given out 2 milligram, 4 milligram, and 8 milligram. That's how I always saw it. But 1 milligram of Dilaudid is a lot of pain meds. It's because of the fact that it's a very different drug than, say, something like an Oxy. 1 to 2 milligrams sounds like a very small dose, but it's a very different drug, right? So look at what a microgram of carfentanil can do. The stronger the drug, the less of it you need. That's actually a decent amount. Give it a while to build up in your system would be my advice, but I'm not a doctor. However, anytime you can follow the instructions on the side of the bottle, life is usually better. That has been my experience. Every time I have stopped doing anything on the side of the bottle, I usually end up in deep trouble. Yeah, Shannon Smith, I think that may have been debunked. I got a sorry, hold on. Never getting the Cessna death traps. I jumped out of some Cessna airplanes way back in the day. I jumped out of a Cessna 182. And yeah, it feels like a Volkswagen Bug taking off. It's one of the most scary vehicles in the entire world. And we had 4 or 5 people and it was awful. Controversial opinion. Ever seen hype around Beyonce? Always thought Aaliyah was the real star and Beyonce only made it when she lost her life. I don't know how controversial that is, my friend. I'm not sure how controversial that is. I think you're going to get a lot of people that probably agree with you. Kestrel says, Tommy, I think they are waiting for the underage charges. I think they want to wait, get more snitches, make more deals, and then scoop everyone up left with those charges. You know something, Kestrel? I think that you're probably pretty close to spot on. I really do. I think what we're seeing here is probably a case of they're going to hold off as long as they can, and you're going to go down the list of all of the people, right? You get a potential list of people that you could charge with crimes, and you get a list of potential suspects. And I would imagine you start with the suspect. I mean, not suspects, but with people that are willing to testify. And I think you go down the list of people willing to testify. And if what you can get off of them is rock solid, right? If you got a bulletproof case, then you go to the other people and go, we don't have an offer on the table for you. We're just going to prosecute you, right? That's the perfect case scenario. When they come and say you got a plea deal, yeah, we're offering life. How would that be? There's your plea deal. If you plead to it, we'll agree not to send you to the special management unit for the first 4 years. We'll agree not to put you at 80X, like those kind of plea deals. Then if you can't get that off of your witness list, then you go meandering over to the people that you're planning on charging. I would imagine number 1 on that list is going to be KK, Miss Karam, his personal assistant. And I figure you bring her in and you say, hey, let me tell you what we're about to charge you with. Thank you so much, Christy Hughes. They say, let me tell you what we're going to charge you with. Blah, blah, blah. It carries. And by the way, whatever they tell you it carries, you're never going to do, right? Those are numbers that are so trumped up, they usually just scare the ever-loving crap out of you. But I promise when they tell her, they're going to say stuff like, you're facing 9 life sentences. If convicted on everything you're accused of, you're looking at this much time. I mean, she could be in a lot of trouble. Traditionally in the feds, an accessory to something carries about 6 years less than whatever the person gets. That's normal. Now that's open to all kinds of negotiations and everything else, but if that's usually what it is. His Cherokee Piper that his flying club owned, the night he crashed on takeoff, I was supposed to be with him. There was an issue with the plane. He didn't know. Good God, Jackie. I'm so glad you weren't in it. Don't be silly, Christy Hughes. For the love of God, don't be silly. Do I think there's somebody above Diddy he can rat on? Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Whether or not he will, we'll see. Maybe not. Yeah, I think that there are people that put money up that knew exactly what he was doing. I think there were investors who saw the business model that he was using and helped him facilitate it. That's not alleged. That's an opinion, right? That's my opinion. There's a cash guy somewhere. He said that he left Uptown Records and that he was a millionaire within 24 hours or some such crap, right? Okay. To go from that millionaire to where he got to within a decade, I don't think you don't do without a hell of a lot more help. I don't think he did this on his own. Have you ever watched a lot of interviews with Diddy? Honestly. This has got to be a guy that's really wildly intelligent. I realize he's a scumbag, but all of the things that he had spinning and pulling off, I don't think he's smart enough to pull off. I'm sorry, I don't. I don't think he's smart enough to spawn a television channel, right? His own production channel. I don't think he's intelligent enough to do the stuff with the liquor and the producing of the music and doing all of these things. I think that there were a lot of people that had cash. And yeah, I think there were a lot of facilitators, Kestrel. I think there were a lot of people, and I have people. I don't. I have no people. Here you go. You want to see my people? There she is, right there. I was going to lift her up. The cat in the basket. That's my people right there. She's on the bright side. She very, very rarely argues with me. that that I win. So now when the cat starts meowing, I sort of just tap out and realize that all right, you win. I'll get the yeah, I know. I'll get the treat. Or I'm sorry, I wake you. She's a really good kitty. Oh yeah, squirrel and zipper is better than people. Make no mistake, cats across the board. Cats are always better than people. Um, the diddler had to use the Police and Led Zeppelin to have any hits. He's a hack. You know what? I'll tell you the really funny thing about the, and I never get tired of telling this, but he didn't get an agreement with the police before he did that. Not the police that wear badges, the police that wear skinny jeans and before their time. I'm talking about Sting and Stuart Copeland and their band, the Police. He used Every Breath You Take, and he did it without permission. And he owes him $2,000 a day until he dies, which I think is just one of the. I mean, can you imagine? I would have liked to have been in the courtroom when the judge figured that one out. What do you say? $2,000 a day until your happy butt goes to the other side. I mean, that's losing a. That's absolutely losing like a big dog. Helena Flock's Swan Boat says bunnies are better than people. She has a really cute bunny. I've actually seen it. I wouldn't argue that either. I think dogs are better than people. I think the cats are better than people. If you want to know how bad people suck, you know that the easiest way, honestly, to get a really good look at how bad people suck is watch this case we're talking about right now. Russell Simmons crawls his way up from nothing, right, to build a huge empire, an entertainment empire. What does he do with it? Assaults women and picks up underage chicks. Sean Carter, right, aka Jay-Z, starts from nothing, builds an empire up. What does he do? The exact same crap. Diddy starts from nothing, starts an empire, right? Blah, blah, blah. Will Smith, yeah, you too. All this mentorship, all of these taking young men and young women into your house to help. Who does that? You guys got any young people in your house for mentorship? Holy hell. It's just really, really messed up. It is. It's absolutely messed up. And it's incestuous to beat hell. By the way, while we're talking about the Smiths, their kids are super into hallucinogenics. And I have said in the past, I don't have a problem with trip drugs. I don't badmouth dissociative drugs here. I think that they have a place in psychology. I think they have a place in parapsychology. And I think they have a place for people that are trying to reset the some neural pathways in the brain. I think that there's a lot of evidence to back up the fact that this is promising stuff. The science and the research on this is really promising stuff. And that said, I'm not turning my teenage kids onto it, right? I am never going to come on here and tell you that I think experimentation with drugs under the age of 18 is safe. It's not. It's not. Our psyches aren't developed enough yet to start playing with them like that. And it's a pretty dangerous damn thing to just sort of open it up for your kids. That family, my God, you look and you think, you're born into a family like that. You're going to be a star. You're Will Smith's kid. Look, you come out, your first movie's what? Karate Kid. And you did the song for the soundtrack with Justin Bieber. You were 11. Bieber was 16. Like, you're winning the lottery, right? What could be better in life? That kid better make $200 million in his career because he's going to spend $185 million of it on friggin' counseling. Mom was sleeping with his 17-year-old best friend. Dad is sleeping with Diddy. He knows that. He goes and purportedly may have done a little of that himself. His relationship with Bieber, if they're not more than friends, they're going out of their way to make themselves look like they're more than friends. I don't have a problem with that. I really don't. But it's just an incestuous little circle of weirdos, man. It really is. It's just an incestuous little circle of weirdos. Johns Hopkins had a whole research lab for psychedelic assisted therapy, but you're not supposed to just wing it. Yeah, you cannot, right? Can you imagine Can you imagine letting your kids start doing this in their teenage years? Hey, you know what? You're fighting with your sister? Try some mushrooms, right? You're having some problems in life. Have you tried ketamine? People, this is frightening. Yeah, I've seen that. I've absolutely seen that. Getting sober is their only hope. I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. Now, very interesting, especially around here, right? This is a group of people that absolutely were lied about when it comes to Scientology. That's about the most that I can tell you because we don't know the truth. But I promise you that they were more than just walking by the celebrity center one day. Cuff Daddy will forever make me giggle. It really doesn't match his I'm a hard thug persona. I bet he hates it. I bet he does. And here's the thing about Diddy. Here's the thing about Diddy. This is a common mistake that people make, right? There's this thing, and it may be because we sometimes, especially in modern culture and in film and in stuff like that, when people talk about gay people, they make jokes to sort of the effeminate side, right? People that talk like this and just there are gay people out there. Make no mistake, that got hands. There are gay people out there. I knew a guy in prison that this is in the state joint. They called Gay Jason, and he was in the fish tank with us. And the fish tank, you're locked down 24 hours a day. You get out one day a week. For real. It's awful. And it's like that for the first 28 days that you're there. It's intake and it's terrible. But when I was in the fish tank, Gay Jason was 2 cells down, and there was a guy heckling him for being gay, and Jason would just really calmly say, when they open these cell doors, I'm coming down there to talk to you. And he would just say it in the calmest voice. And when they opened those cells doors, Jason went down there and looked like Mike Tyson. I mean, he put a beat down on this dude. He hit him with a 5-piece before the guy got his hands up. It was just incredible. Diddy has fists. For real. There are a lot of people out there that have seen this guy get into fist fights. And apparently Diddy's got knuckle game. Like, the guy can throw fists. He's going to have to do that. I promise. He's going to have to do that. Even if he's going to buy his way through this entire thing, he's going to have to do that. By the way, I'm already getting emails from people that say, I heard Diddy's not eating anything, right? I probably know where you heard that. I haven't heard that. Other than there. If he happens to be right, that's it wouldn't be a shocker. But I'm not sure that that's it's hard getting info out of there right now. Certainly I'm not hearing anything out of there by inmates. You know what? Sorry, I felt left out. I was a fan of Ashton till the whole Danny Masterson thing changed that big time. But I had heard he was close with Diddy. Oh yeah. And you know who else was really close with Diddy? Leonardo DiCaprio, and we're going to be hearing a lot about Leo. Hello, Danette McClure. Good to see you. We're going to be hearing about him, I promise you. Debbie Lima, good to see you. Hey, Lily Lynn. Lily Lynn says, Justin Bieber is a grown man walking around like a penguin with his pants down. His choice. He's grown. Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely his fashion sense is what it is. However, one of the reasons you hear people a lot say convicts are such hypocrites, right? Like, all of a sudden they get to prison and now they've got a code of honor. And and what they're talking about is convicts who smash out people that assault women or kids. Let me try to explain this to you, because I get emails about this all the time. Let me see if I can make you understand this. The vast majority of people in prison didn't get into prison because they had perfect childhoods. It happens, it does, but it's not the normal. The normal person in prison had something happen to them in their childhood that spun their life out of control so badly that they ended up a criminal. Very often that has to do with assault, either physical or sexual assault, right? That's a reality. So when someone comes in for hurting a kid, there are 150 dudes in that unit that are looking around going, someone did that to me as a kid. I'm going to kill him. That's the mindset that ends up being pervasive, right? For real. So I understand what people are saying with it seems hypocritical that these people, sorry, gobbledygook, good to see you. But nonetheless, I think that that there are a lot of people. The reason that I'm concerned about the Bieber's probably got $100 million in the bank, right? Maybe more than that. I don't know what his net worth is. He's worth a fortune. Cheeky, good to see you. Nevertheless, you can't buy back your innocence with all of the money in the world. His innocence was taken by a guy who was a rock star that he thought was going to be a mentor. Then you can't say enough bad shit about Sean Combs. You can't. You could talk for the rest of your time on planet Earth and not come up with enough shit to say about him. Gobbledygook, if you want to shoot me an email at sober@myyahoo.com, if you have any interest at all in telling that story, you don't have to put your face up or anything else. I'd be more than happy to give you a platform to talk about that. It's pretty good timing. Speaking of good timing, tomorrow I am going to be on Surviving the Survivor again. For those of you who are STS fans, I will be going live tomorrow. 1 o'clock Eastern time. 1 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow. Well, if you're cooler than him, send me a damn email, sober@myyahoo.com, for God's sake. Anybody cooler than anybody should be talking, don't you think? No, for real, tomorrow I'm going to be on Surviving the Survivor. I really hope that some of you will have a chance to get over there. We have a really good time on STS. And you know what? This is one of those things, no joke, right? That I want to shout out all of you. I am beyond heartwarmed at the number of people that went over and left comments that said stuff like, "We want Tommy back on Surviving the Survivor," especially after the show that I did last Friday. I think I probably saw more comments like that than I've ever seen in my life, and that kind of stuff actually helps. It really does. It makes a difference. And I think I'm going to be doing a lot in the upcoming weeks with STS, and that's exciting. One thing you'll say about Joel is if the audience yells for it, he'll absolutely deliver it. So I appreciate all you coming out and supporting me and all of the people that said nice things and shouted me out, because we're getting more airtime, and more airtime on Surviving the Survivor means more people here. More people here means more people have a shot of finding out that, you know what, there's a better way. And if I can get off of a 7 gram a day heroin habit, anybody can do anything. I promise you. This, people, is a cat in a basket. Got some more squirrel videos going up tonight. What do you say there, kitty? Look at that. That is a good looking kitty right there. She's not happy with me. It's all right. Really is a good animal. All right, people. I am the Admiral, Tommy Scoville. You want to say goodnight? Between now and the next time I see you, please reach out and try to save somebody, all right? Please. Squirrel, you're not going to say goodnight? You're going to hurt people's feelings. Yeah. You're a kitty. That's a good girl.